Yo guys, what's going on? Today I'm going to be going over what a caloric surplus is, its importance, and how you can ensure that you are in a caloric surplus. So last week I made a video on a caloric deficit. If you haven't checked that out, I would recommend you doing so, because understanding what a caloric deficit is can then help you further understand this video about what a caloric surplus is. And the reason why is because they are essentially opposites, where a caloric deficit is you consuming fewer calories than you burn. A caloric surplus is where you consume more calories than you burn. So if you were to burn 2,000 calories a day, for example, and then you consume 2,500 calories per day, that means you would be in a surplus of 500 calories. Like I mentioned last week though, there's often a confusion with the term burning calories. Burning calories is not done solely through our exercise and our activity, our training, our workouts. Rather, there is 4 different ways in which we burn calories, and when you add them up, you get a number which is usually referred to as your TDEE, your total daily energy expenditure. In other words, the total number of calories you burn in a day, and eating more than that will mean that you're in a caloric surplus, as mentioned in the previous video. But why exactly is a caloric surplus important? This is because the only way that you can scientifically gain weight is by being in a caloric surplus. The only way to gain weight is by giving your body more food than it is burning. And gaining weight includes gaining muscle. So chances are, if you're watching Adil muscle, then you want to build muscle. And if you want to build muscle, then you need to eat in a caloric surplus. To simplify it further, if you want to gain weight, then you're going to have to eat more food. But how much food and how many calories will this be for you? Well, in this regard, everybody is different. How much you weigh, how active you are, and many other factors combined will determine how many calories you will need to eat to be in a caloric surplus. A common way to estimate how many calories is a caloric surplus for you is by multiplying your body weight in pounds by 20. So for example, if someone weighs 150 pounds, when they multiply that by 20, they get 3,000. Thus, to be in a caloric surplus for them, they were required to eat about 3,000 calories per day. However, this is a rough estimate, so it might not do the complete job for you. Therefore, you could start with that estimated figure, but then assess your calories accordingly. For example, if you aren't gaining weight whilst eating those number of calories, and as far as how much weight you should be gaining, if you are in your first year of lifting, then you should shoot for about 1 pound of weight gain per week. But I digress. If you aren't gaining weight with those number of calories, then you can adjust your caloric intake by, say, increasing your calories by 100 calories or 200 calories, and then assess it from there. If you still aren't gaining weight, then maybe you need to increase your calories further. If you're gaining way too much weight, or you are gaining like way more than 1 pound per week, for example, in your first year of lifting, and gaining like 5 pounds, then perhaps you should decrease it further until you get to a stable point where you're averaging about 1 pound per week of weight gain. And just to clarify on the point about gaining too much weight, you have to understand that when you are attempting to build muscle, you have to, unfortunately, gain some fat at expense of gaining muscle. Thus, when I say gaining too much weight, like if you're gaining 5 pounds in a week, then this probably means you're gaining too much excess fat. But we want to maximize how much muscle we build and minimize the fat, and therefore you don't need to be gaining too much weight, and thus 1 pound per week in the beginning of your weightlifting journey is a decent target. But anyway, an even better and accurate way to figure out how many calories a caloric surplus is for you is to figure out how many calories you are eating right now, and assuming that your weight is currently being maintained, you're not gaining weight or losing weight, then you can add 10% of your caloric intake now on top of your calories. So for example, let's say currently you happen to be eating around about 2,000 calories and you're not gaining any weight at all, nor are you losing weight. Then to be in a caloric surplus, you could add 10% on top, which would take you to eating around 2,200 calories. And then, as mentioned before, you could assess from there. So, if you want to build muscle, now you know the #1 rule in doing so when it comes to your eating side of things, and that is by putting yourself in a caloric surplus. If you like this video, if you found it helpful, then make sure you drop a like, subscribe, comment below, notification bells, and all this kind of thing, and I'll see you guys next time.